Welcome back to another episode of Allen Police Behind the Badge. We're your hosts, Officer Sam Rupamani and Alexis Birmingham.
And today our guest is Detective Sam Shipley. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Sam. We've been trying to get you for a while.
Well, I'm glad it worked out.
So before we get into who you are, you've been in law enforcement for a while, right?
Correct. Yep.
How many years you've been in?
Coming up on 12 years.
That's awesome. So I'm sure you got some interesting stories over your 12-year career.
I'd say a few, definitely, yeah.
Anything that comes to mind right off the top?
I think one that will always be really memorable was a couple years ago we had, it was a kidnapping. It was a non-custodial parent that had taken a little boy. And basically it was a mom's ex-boyfriend. And obviously, being as a parent, that's like every parent's worst nightmare. So what had happened is he took him and basically said he was going to keep him for a while. She had no idea where he was taking him. He kind of ceased all communications, and he was communicating with her through this app. And fortunately, I was able to get some emergency information from the companies, and we were able to pinpoint an IP address for an apartment in Grand Prairie. And we went down there, and we were able to find the kid hidden in the apartment. But by far the coolest part of that was after we got him down to in the parking lot into one of our cars, able to call the mom, and then watching the mom show up and see her little boy, he's like 4 at the time, and to see that like kind of embrace again, that's something that I'll never forget. That was one of those where I'm like, man, there's a lot of challenges sometimes in this job, but what better reason to be able to do what we do? So that was obviously a really, really awesome experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. I thought you were taking us down a really dark path for a second there. It was like
no,
setting
it was a happy ending.
That's
right?
awesome. Those are the stories we like to hear.
Yeah, and did this happen here in Allen, or was this at your prior agency?
Yeah, with my old agency.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So you didn't start here in Allen. Where did you? I mean, like, what brought you into law enforcement? And
yeah, it's kind of by accident, honestly. So when I was kind of figuring out ultimately what I wanted to do with my life, I didn't really know what. I just knew kind of wanted two things. Is I wanted to be able to always have a job that could take care of my family, but also I wanted to spend a lot of time with my wife and kids. That was always kind of top priority for me. So as I looked at things, I originally got interested in nursing. Thought that would be, I knew that there would always be a demand for that job. And then I also wanted a job where I could serve people. And I guess my love for service kind of happened. I served a 2-year church mission. And during that time, all you do is you forget about yourself and you try to help other people. And during that time, I recognized, man, I was just so happy. And you kind of realize you're happy because you're not worried about yourself anymore. You're worried about other people. So I realized, nursing could provide probably a lot of those opportunities, being able to help people when they're in the hospital or wherever that might be. And so as I was waiting for school to start, there was an application for police opening in another department and ended up getting hired. And once I started doing it, I recognized law enforcement was going to offer a lot of the same opportunities. Mm-hmm. Like I always say, is usually when the police are around, people aren't having the best day. So if you can play a part in helping them or helping them get through that, I want to be a part of that. And then also, I mean, you get to chase bad guys and old people,
yeah,
right.
Get bad, so that's what kind of got me into it. And
now you're here.
I love it.
I got you in Allen and you're going to retire here, right?
That's my plan. That's my plan. Yeah.
Are you originally from Texas?
No, I'm actually from Southern California. So my only regret is I didn't get here sooner. So I grew up in Orange County and Santa Barbara, California.
Yeah.
And was there until I went back east for college and to play football. And then we moved back out here to Texas and I've loved it.
Yeah. So you played some college football?
Just a little bit. Yeah.
What position did you play?
So I played inside linebacker. I always like hitting people. And so that was a great way to pay for school and
that's awesome.
Provide a lot of opportunities. So
are you a big sports guy?
I love sports. Taking more to play. I'm not an avid baseball watcher or anything like that, but I like watching football and stuff.
Yeah. And basketball, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I know Allen PD's
Tell
got
us
a pretty
about-
good basketball team, and so
Yeah, let's hear about this
Yeah.
new basketball team that
yeah, it
has
should be-
not played a game yet, just for the record.
We have not. I think it'll be awesome. I just miss competition, so I love basketball, but just getting a chance to compete with guys and do that every once in a while is always fun. So
Seems
That's a
like
good
all
time.
the guys are excited. That's all I hear. Cambiano, everybody in the
yeah,
department's
some guys
talking
are
about
pretty
this.
juiced up. Well, and thanks to you guys, we got some pretty awesome uniforms. So
Yeah.
no, but I think it'll be a great time. And most people, it's fun to compete again. I mean, you don't really get that opportunity once you get out of college very often, right? To be able to
Yeah.
actually like play games against other
Mhm.
teams. So should be good.
I'll make it out to watch one of them.
Should be good. They say you can't dunk, so
Oh,
not that I don't think anybody on our team can dunk, but
Let's say, who do we have
Yeah.
that's dunking the basketball? I want to know.
no, it should be good.
I know we have some competitive guys on the team, so
We do.
they're going to take it serious and get out there and play. So that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, it should be exciting.
You know, our chief mayor may not be pretty competitive, so
That was one of the things that I kind of fell in love with when I came here. So
yeah, he likes to win.
he likes to be the best, likes to win, which me personally that's the kind of team you want to be on,
Yeah,
hmm
right?
yeah. Look over there when we do our police fire hockey game. Oh, and you see
He's into
that
it.
fist
Yeah.
pump going, and he's yelling. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Super excited to be
He
out
gets
there.
into it, so I'm sure he'll be at some of y'all's games as well.
Hopefully they're good endings, but it should be good. It should be a lot of fun.
So, what do you do for the department?
So I'm currently assigned to criminal investigations. I work property crimes and then a little bit of crimes against persons. I love doing investigative work. So I was grateful that after I came here, I got a chance to kind of rotate back into that.
So you did that for your prior agency.
Yeah. So at my old agency, I worked property crimes, crimes against persons, and then crimes against children.
That's a tough one, though. Tough unit to be in.
Yeah, I think, I've told people it can be very difficult at times, but also super satisfying. I think one of the unique things about child crimes, when maybe you are talking about, a child death or something like that, you go into it, and this could either be probably one of two things: is either a parent has done something wrong and committed a crime, or this is the worst day of their life, and it was just an accident, or maybe sometimes they die. And so it's kind of a very unique challenge, because you want to do a great job, but also you recognize you're seeing this person when the worst thing in the world has happened to them, and you don't want to interrogate and start raking somebody over the coals, and they're already going through every parent's worst nightmare. So
Mhm.
there is that, but also being able to go to a parent or to their kids and say, that guy who was abusing whatever, he'll never be able to hurt you again. He's gone forever. That's a pretty awesome feeling to be able to tell them that, and just let them know you're safe. Like that person will never hurt you again. So that it's kind of a caveat to it.
Yeah. You enjoying where you're at now, though?
In investigations,
Mm-hmm.
I do. I love it. I will say I would love to get a chance to work child crimes again.
Yeah.
But I also know the guys that are over there really love what they're doing. So
We do have a very, very
yeah. And I
passionate group.
worked with them before, right? So in my old agency, I was on a task force with them. So that's how I actually got to know all of them, and kind of what opened my eyes here to Allen anyway. So
That's awesome. So, not to jump all around, but you said you did a 2-year mission for your church. Where was that at?
in basically the southern tip of Texas,
Yeah.
por la frontera.
Yeah.
Sí, yeah.
There it is.
Ah, sí sabes
So-
cómo hablar español.
Sí, hablo español y ha sido un aprovecho aquí en ese tipo de trabajo.
I'm just going to sit over here and let them talk now. So, you caught me off guard one day when all of a sudden Sam started talking Spanish, and I was like, does that come from Sam?
I think he overheard me speaking to my
Yeah.
mom in Spanish one day, and he was like, wow, you can speak Spanish. And then I heard him speak Spanish, and I was like, wow, you definitely were living by the border. You have somebody that you speak really good Spanish with, because his Spanish is amazing.
Thank you. It's been a huge blessing. Obviously, I think you see I know what I look like. So a white guy with red hair is usually not who they picture speaking it. But, I've had opportunities to, you have a chance to give a voice to people. And I've interviewed people that are like, hey, thank you so much I'm so glad that you speak it, because there've been so many times when, I haven't been able to give my side of the story, or they're afraid to call, right? Because they're just afraid they won't be able to communicate things. Right. That's been awesome. And then also I've had a lot of guys admit to crimes or where they're hiding dope or things like that, because they're talking by the car.
They're more comfortable.
And we're just registering it all. So I never imagined how much of an advantage or a blessing it would be in this type of work, but it has been.
That's awesome. So I think it's super cool. I tried to learn.
Muy difícil.
I know enough to get me in trouble.
Yeah, but
that's it.
Learning a new language, I tell people all the time, is it takes time.
Yeah.
But obviously being immersed in it for a couple of years, and that's kind of all you hear, makes it a little easier, I guess. So
is that where you picked it up completely, or did you have a little bit of it when you moved down there?
I did high school Spanish. I wouldn't say I was any good at it. And as people know, it's kind of like with English, the way that we speak isn't textbook. We don't speak properly. So, it was all just being down there and talking with people. And fortunately, I've been able to have lots of opportunities to use it here to keep up with it. And
that's really awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, detective and CID, what are some other things you got your hand in here in the department? I know you're on a few other things.
Yeah. So, the other big one is I'm on our SWAT team, and then on our SWAT competition team as well.
Oh, wow. We have two separate. I didn't know we had a competition.
No, it's just we have a few guys that do the SWAT competition every year.
Yeah.
So I'm on that team as well. SWAT is something that from the very beginning of my career, I knew I wanted to be a part of. And so having that opportunity when I came here to join the team, and it's been very, very thankful for it. And it's been an awesome experience.
It's kind of that brotherhood.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's, it's kind of a second family. And, I got a chance to work with a lot of them at my old agency, and being around them then, I was like, I like the feeling I get around this group. So that was a thing I was looking forward to when I came over here.
Yeah, I remember the first time I met you, we were on, you probably don't remember this, but we were doing it was one of those big joint training days where we had SWAT, negotiators, everybody out there working. You were an actor. You weren't on the SWAT team yet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do remember that.
And you were the person in the house that we were having to negotiate with. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's really good at playing this part. I was getting so frustrated.
Yeah, that was a fun day.
He did not want to talk, and then he would talk for a second, and then he would quit. And I was like, oh, my gosh, this is going on forever.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I tell you, especially scenarios like that, most people agree is I think you almost learn more being the bad guy, right? Because you just kind of get a different view of it. But, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I definitely remember that.
That was were you?
I was in field training still, or I was in mini academy, so you were probably a few weeks
brand new. So
yeah,
I hadn't even met you yet, and I was like, and they were all, this guy's gonna be awesome. He comes with a lot of experience, and everybody was talking high, and it's all been true so far. So,
well, thanks, Sammy.
From what I see,
it's been I've loved every minute I've been here. So
you're also a RAD instructor. You teach with me and Sammy as well.
Yes. So the RAD program is something I know a whole lot about, and essentially for people who are not familiar with it, it's a self-defense class for women, but it's a very unique setup, and it really teaches them techniques and things that can be applied to real world situations to really increase their awareness and ability to be safe.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
and where can you find out more about this program?
It's going to be listed on our website on allenpolice.org, and our classes are all free. So if you look at the calendar, it'll list any of our upcoming classes if anybody wants to join.
It's been super cool, as we've talked, is watching the growth for women, seeing them come in on week one, and man, the idea of a possible physical confrontation happening, I mean, you can see it in their eyes how terrified they are. And then seeing by week 4, when you kind of put them through some more hands-on stuff, to see their, not only the growth, but the performance in those situations, and then to see how much almost happier, but just more confident they feel in if they ever had to deal with it. That for me is one of the coolest things to see.
Yep.
Is to see them really empowered, because as we've talked, I remember hearing in that class, they talked about, that a very high percentage of women every day walk around and get in several situations every day where they're extremely fearful. And I remember when I heard that, I went home and I asked my wife, and I was like, hey, Casey, do you ever feel like this? And she goes, yeah. And I remember I felt about this big because I was like, why didn't you tell me? And she's like, well, you didn't ask. And hearing that, I remember thinking wow, like I can't imagine what that's like, but that kills me to know that you feel like that. And I'm glad that we can give women an opportunity to not feel that as much, or to at least have more confidence that if something like that happens, that they can protect themselves. So that's been a lot of fun.
I started with the class when Lieutenant Page he kind of the one who helped implement this program here in Allen in 2013. So I was on board right from the start. And so we've done a lot of classes, and there's a lot of weeks I'm like, oh, I got to teach tonight. You got to go to class. Yeah. You know, you're just tired, the week's grinding. But then when you get there and you start teaching it and you see their confidence just grow, and they come in shy on night 1, and on week 4, after they complete that last night, they walk out of there, and you have to tell them, like, hey, don't go pick fights in the parking lot. You know, you're not trying to don't go to Walmart and get in a fight with somebody because they steal your buggy or anything. Yeah. All jokes aside, their confidence just goes through the roof, and you can tell, and it's in the way they hold themselves.
Well, yeah, and just I think making sure that they're more aware of their surroundings, and that to be vocal.
And I mean, you guys have mentioned numerous times is nothing's really that complicated, but like you even said, is just being vocal and being assertive, how often that diffuses situations. Mm-hmm. But I think like even last week, working on some stuff, if you were ever on the ground, it was cool to see them is how many of you this would have been your worst nightmare, if you ended up on the ground with it, and a bunch raise their hand, and it's like, but now you have a skill set that can help you out. I think it's always cool, like you said, is you always remember your why. There might be a night that I don't want to teach, but what's the why? Why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. And that's been really cool to see.
That's very rewarding.
Mothers and daughters doing it together, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah, and there's really no age. I mean, we always ask that they're like, how old is it starting out? I think 16 and
we do minimum 14, with a either older sibling or parent, guardian.
Yeah, but there's no age cap really. I mean, we have ladies that are even in their 80s taking our classes.
Go through the class.
I mean,
it's
interesting.
The class is set up for success. Yeah. Nobody's going to come through this program and fail. Even if you can't do every move, we teach, you're still going to get something out of it. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Well, and the techniques are very forgiving, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you do it imperfectly, it's still really, really effective. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where with some martial arts, they're like, you got to twist this around. And I'm like, look, man, I could try it 100 times. I'm probably not going to do it right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to remember all that.
No, it's an awesome program. Like I said, I was grateful that I heard even in that class that Allen has a great program. So it was kind of nice to be able to ride those coattails a little bit and be a part of it. So
it's good stuff.
I wanted to ask, so what are like some of the cases that you deal with on a day-to-day basis?
So it'll be anything property related. So it can be thefts, stolen vehicles, certain frauds, get like crimes against a person, like if you're on call, and that would be one of your family violence offenses, kidnappings or things like that. So
what does your caseload typically look like?
Usually carry about 40 to 50 cases, which is a little bit different. That's in property crime. It's pretty normal. The nice thing about that is because it's not as time sensitive maybe as maybe an assault against a person, right? So, if somebody has their generator stolen or whatever, if that has to wait a few days until you can get, certain information, that's okay. So it works out carrying a little bit bigger of a caseload as opposed to at the CAC or doing crimes against persons.
Have you had any interesting things stolen or things that would surprise you that would end up as a case?
I heard you solved a big case the other day.
The other day?
It was two.
It might have been a couple weeks.
Oh, that was
ago.
You're talking about the big case.
Yeah, the big
This
case.
was a theft of some Birkenstock sandals that we solved.
That's serious.
That was actually right after I got up there. My sergeant, we were doing it. He goes, here, I'm going to throw you some cases. And not gonna lie. So it got stolen at the ice rink, and so I started reviewing video and was able to find the person that when it happened. Then I went and cross-referenced it with the sign-in sheets and got those Birkenstocks back to her.
That's
and
pretty. Actually, I know we laugh because
pretty much I was just ready for my documentary after solving that.
Yeah, I hear once you break a pair of Birks into your feet, though, like you don't want to start over with a new pair.
They were pretty important, but even that one, I think I guess the kid part of you is it's fun to solve things, right?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
It's fun to, like I said, is reviewing video, and then you're going down this list of names and you're trying to think okay, was this timing right? And it's fun.
Yeah, and
Fun to
we
do something
laugh
like
because
this.
it's a pair of sandals, but those may be very important to somebody else. And
Right.
the fact that you take the time and you treat every case the same, essentially. If there's leads there, you're going to work it, no matter what the item is that went missing.
Yeah. And even working on the streets or now being in CID, I always like to tell our citizens, I'm like, hey, don't hesitate to call us, right? I mean, that's why we're here. And I think I always tell them is, man, if something doesn't seem right in your neighborhood, let us come check it out. It takes, 5 minutes or it could be something big. Like I remember in my old agency, I think it was like December. It was probably like 15, 20 degrees outside. And this lady called and she's like, hey, there's a guy walking around with a flashlight. It was like 10:30 at night, looking at houses. And so went up and I saw this guy and started talking to him. And it turns out he was visiting family. He's from Russia and he'd never seen Christmas lights before.
Oh,
and so
wow.
he's walking around looking at Christmas lights, right? And for him, 15 degrees was like beach weather.
Yeah, that's nothing.
So it ended up being nothing, right? But I say that just is for our citizens is like, if it's important to you, it's important to us.
Mhm.
We'll
So
go check it out.
we would much rather give us the opportunity to do it.
Right.
And so in that case, yeah, she was happy. I guess she had him and then it was sisters and daughters. So it was important to them.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than when you go to these community events and somebody comes up, I almost called you the other night. We heard this or saw this. I'm like, don't just call us. Don't
I'll tell
say
you, I'm
you
like,
almost called us.
You're our
Call
citizens.
us.
Like we take pride in protecting you or doing those things. So that's why we're here. We're here 24 hours a day. I was like, use us kind of thing.
And I get that, like, especially you see it more with your older generation. They don't feel like they don't want to put us out. They don't want to bother, but we have to get it through to them. Like, you're not bothering us. This is what we're paid to do. It's our job. Is we'll come check it out. Call us. Let us get out.
So we're putting that out on the podcast here. Yes, call us. I agree 100%. You calling us, that might be the key to, catching somebody who was doing really bad things. Or, we've had a lot of those where somebody calls, hey, this car doesn't look right, and ends up being, a big deal.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I would definitely say
call us.
Call us.
So you're married?
I am. My wife, Casey, and I have been married going on 17 years.
She's from California as well?
Grew up in Utah, but we met in California.
All right.
And we've been blessed with 6 beautiful kids. And
Oh, wow.
so I guess first and foremost, one thing I have is I'm a husband and a dad. So having my wife and the kids is, no matter how bad your day has been, being able to come home and see them, it's always an easy pick me up. So
I didn't realize you had 6. And
you only have one daughter, right? And all boys? Oh my goodness.
that's a lot of boys.
Yeah.
Yes,
well, so there's a caveat to this. So we have 6. We've lost 3 in infancy.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So very excited to get to meet them again. But so our oldest is 15, Bentley, and then Brady and Manning are twins. Brady was one we lost. And then Brigham would be 10. Millie is 7. And then we just recently lost a daughter, Winnie. So that's been, it's the hardest thing ever, but, obviously grateful that we get to have them and we'll get to see them again. So having a daughter has been awesome. I never knew how much I'd love having because our first 4 were boys, and I never imagined how much I could love having a daughter. And the dresses and the bows and stuff like that. And,
She's adorable.
How old's your daughter?
She's 7.
I just bought a dress for my 17-year-old daughter's prom, so I'm going to ask you again when she gets a little older.
Yeah, but I get it now. My wife's like, you can tell her no sometimes, right? And I'm like,
No.
I can't. But I get it now too. Is sometimes I'll say stuff, and my boys be like, "Well, how come Millie gets to?" I'm like, "Because she's a girl." You don't understand that now, but you will. But yeah, she's awesome. And then our oldest, we just started doing driving practice, which that's like one of the most terrifying things ever.
Yeah.
Are you teaching at home or?
No, I'm sitting in
school?
the passenger seat,
Oh.
holding myself together as
Home
best
for
I
dear
can.
life, right?
That's been a whole new experience.
So
as
this
well.
is your oldest son.
15.
Does this?
Wow.
Do you feel like his depth perception is off?
Maybe, or those
That's
curves
where I
have come out of
was.
nowhere because
Yeah.
we've sideswiped a few of them.
So yeah. When I went through this for the first time with he's going to be 20 in a week, and I'd be in the passenger seat, and I'd be like, "Hey, you're turning right up here. Hey, you're turning right up here. Like, why aren't you braking?" Then he would start to brake at the last second.
It's not as
I'm
smooth
like,
as
you're
you
breaking
get,
in
right?
the
I'm like, oh my
passenger
goodness.
seat.
I was like, I told my wife, I think he's broken. I think his depth perception is
What
off.
I'm sure the same is watching him do it. You forget how complex driving actually is, right? Because I'll tell him like, "Hey, we're going to turn right up here, and then we're going to go down here, and we're going to make another right." And it's as we're coming up, it's like, check your blind spot, signal.
Yeah. You don't realize
It's a lot's going on because you're so used to
Yeah.
it. But yeah, it's been it's fun. And it's like anything else watching your kids grow
It is.
I hate that they're growing up. But it's also cool to see them as they grow and mature, just getting to do new things in life. And
Yeah.
so
Absolutely. You make the jokes about your daughter. So my daughter, me and her, we can be oil and water. Like my wife always says that y'all are polar opposite. We're exactly the same is probably what it boils down to. So we fight, we get mad at each other, and she's 17 and knows everything.
of course.
And like the last night, she tells us, she said, "Hey," track's is her sport. She said, "Hey, our track fundraiser's tomorrow." And I tell my wife after she's not in the room, I was like, "I'm not donating this year," like that. And she goes,
But don't tell her.
she goes, "Okay." Well, then this morning a group text comes out to me and my wife from my daughter. It's the link to donate. And next thing you know, I donate and I let her know, "Hey, I just donated." I get a text from my wife, "Sucker." I was like, "Yep, that's me."
I've heard that.
Talk a
too.
big game, and then here she gets me every time.
It's different. It's different.
It
than boys.
really
That's all I
is.
can say is even the way they act around her is they give her a lot more grace than they do each other.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes with boys, it's like, did you guys wake up this morning with the goal of like, how can I piss my brother off? It's like, what can I do today? But yeah, she's been such a blessing to us. And like I said, my wife and kids, that's a bright spot to come home to every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do they play sports?
Heartbreakingly for me, no, none of them. They
No.
played a little bit, but I remember asking one of my sons, Manning, I'm like, "Son, like, don't you want to be a great athlete?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "Oh," because I always had this vision that they'd be begging me to go, throw the football or whatever. But they didn't. But my biggest thing has always been with them is I want you to be happy, man. Like, do what makes you happy, and whatever that is, I'll be there. I'll be in the stands supporting you, right? I might not know much about it, but I'll be there. One of my kids wanted to do band. I played the recorder. I think that was like
That's the part
first
she
grade
went
or
with it.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I said, if you want to do it, like, and it makes you happy, I'll be at every, or every concert or whatever it is. So yeah, heartbreakingly, none of them love sports, but they definitely have their activities that they love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter did the competition cheer for a while.
That stuff's intense.
I was
Yeah.
kind of, I was scared going to some of those meets. Like those moms, and this is no knock on you, but that's serious stuff. There was times she had the flu, and they're like, "We expect her to be here. She needs to wear a mask and at least watch." And I'm like, "She's at home with the flu."
I don't think you heard me, but that's my wife. My wife used to do it too, and she would tell me some of this stuff, and I'm like, "You mean at like 12 years old, that's what they're doing?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
no joke."
Then we transitioned out of that, and we got into theater. So that totally shifted gears. So
Yeah.
we did the theater thing for a while. So that was it was interesting. And then,
It's so interesting to see. My wife and I always joke. I'm like, man, it's the same ingredients that went into each of them, and just how different they are.
yeah,
And their passions and stuff like that. For things that they love, I'm like, I would have never guessed in a million years that, that's something you wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
but they're all about it.
So is there anything new to the department or to your unit?
Yep. Currently right now PD is kind of undergoing a rebranding as far as the attire that we wear, like this shirt and some other apparel that we wear. And it's been really cool because not only is it making everything uniform amongst everyone, but it shows a lot of pride in what we're doing. And everyone loves to be able to wear stuff that represents, their family pretty much. And so that's been really cool. We didn't have that a lot of my old agency. So I like wearing Allen Police stuff. And I like people to know.
Yeah, I mean, we get fitness shirts now for our annual fitness tests we do.
do.
That's stuff that we didn't have in the past. And the guy who's over those, they put a lot of pride in, designing these shirts. And
everyone's really, really enjoyed that change. And I think it just kind of magnifies the pride that we have in Allen and with our department. So,
right. And with the new rebranding, we're also doing new squad cars. So I'm excited for that to roll out. Kind of exciting.
There's been a lot of work between, amongst all of our command staff and city, staff going back and forth. And we hope the city, the public likes it. And I think they're going to look really sharp.
Yeah.
Well, I like that because, whether it's apparel or, our vehicles and stuff like that, we want it to be a positive representation of the city and a reflection on them, and to take pride in, like, man, our officers, they look sharp. Our department, is top notch. And, everything we do is, we try to be the best at it. And I think that's something they can take a lot of pride in, and that a lot of people here take a lot of pride in. So,
right.
Yeah. So the way the polo thing kind of shook out, we played it right. We gave, Detective Cambiano one of the shirts. We're like, hey, start wearing this to work. And next thing you know, I'm getting emails and texts. Like, hey, where can I get my polo? Like, everybody starts asking. So we kind of just gradually introduced the polos, and people were wanting it. So then when the green light went up, emails just started flying. And hey, order me one of these, 2 of these. Yeah.
Dude, even the beanies, like as soon as Melissa sent that email out, I was all about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And we got hats now. So
the hats.
We have the caps that have that same logo on there and we have a version that's available to our citizens, and that's very similar logo, just says Allen instead of police on top. It looks pretty sharp. So if you're interested, let us know.
Yeah.
And I like that people can see that. Like, I like that people, when they went from Allen or they see representatives of the police department, is like, there's a lot of pride in that.
Right.
I was at a tactical games competition this last weekend, and somebody saw my Allen PD stuff, and they're like, "Oh, you work in Allen?" And we started talking. I said, "Man, we're down here by, Burnett, Texas, and you're recognizing Allen."
Yeah,
that is pretty neat.
It has been awesome to see, like, since Chief Dye's come on board here, he has such a following.
He really does.
Funny story is my oldest son came in and worked with our narcotics unit one summer, helping them out on some stuff. And he got, Chief Dye doing what Chief Dye does. He went over and introduced himself and talked to him and had a conversation. And my son was like, "Dad, he could be the president."
He is a politician.
He still calls him that. He still talks about it. He's like, "How's the old president doing?"
I think it's so funny, though. He does have that larger than life personality, but in your interactions with him is very down to earth dude and very sincere in what he does. Right.
Yeah.
Even recently, obviously with us losing our youngest daughter, he would text me every day and check on me, but then also stop and, "How's your wife doing?" Things like that. And I know that he's got more than his fair share of things that he's got going on in his life. And so you see the very sincere side and that's what makes it easy to work, right? Is when your chief cares about more than just you as an officer, right? They care about your well-being. So
yeah, he's always looking out for all his troops. So
he really does.
He really does.
And he's not going to ask us to do anything that he wouldn't do right next to us, like our annual PT test.
Yep.
He's a very lead by example guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a huge blessing to be able to work here.
Awesome.
Is he part of the reason why you came here?
He's a very, very big part of why I came here. So I was at the Children's Advocacy Center with a couple of the Allen guys, and I'd had a chance to, like I said, train with some of your SWAT team. And so I knew the guys, and I liked, the people that I met from the department. But then when I was over there and I started hearing about some of the things he was doing and the values and things that he was kind of instilling, I was kind of drooling like, I want to go find out more about this. And, you know, like I mentioned earlier, when I had my interview with him, you know, my jaw like dropped. I was like, you know, where has this been my whole career? You know, just again, his vision of what he sees the department being and the values and kind of the process to get there. That was something that I kind of fell in love with right on the spot. So
we kind of addressed it already, but if you could tell the community one thing, what would that be?
Don't hesitate to call us. We are here to help. Nothing's too small. That would be my biggest thing, because, and I hope they feel, and I try to tell them is, we want you to feel safe. Like we want you to know that like, if I need Allen PD, they will be there. No matter what I need them for. And so give us that opportunity, right? Because I know a lot of people out here is, man, we want our citizens to feel safe. We want them to know is like, man, if something happens in Allen or if I need help, an officer will be there to help me. Hopefully it continues. So.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, we really appreciate you taking time. I know you're busy, you know,
and
finding Burks
and shoes, but no, thank you for having me.
If you'd like to learn more about the Allen Police Department or upcoming events, check us out on our website, allenpolice.org.
And make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, leave them down below. See you next time.
See you next time.